Jim Klauck here on the Beach Money Podcast. I hope you're all having a great day, Beach Money Day. Today, Michelle Barnes is joining me, a good friend of Jordan Adler's. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much for having me on the program. I'm going to learn a lot about you. I've not met you before, but I know because you're a good friend of Jordan as I am, we're going to have a lot in common, and I think we're going to have fun today.
Well, I agree, and I'm blessed to be here, and I absolutely love and adore Jordan. We've known each other for decades, so so any friend of Jordan's is a friend of mine.
That's what everybody says. So I have a lot of new friends now because I get to interview Jordan's friends. How did you meet Jordan?
So we met before his current business. He actually ended up in my team in my previous company. One of the gals in my team, I forget what her license plate said, maybe like unemployed or something like that. And they got to talking, and it was in Arizona where he was living and where she was living. And so he got started in our team after Excel went out of business, and brought a team over to our team, and then fell in love with send out cards. So then transitioned over there. But we have spoken at a lot of generic network marketing events together, and we've known each other for, gosh, I think it's probably at least 25 years now. So we've shared a lot of stages together, and we're both Pisces. I think his birthday's March 9th and mine's the 7th. So we've always had that in common as well. So it's a lot of fun. He's just a great human.
He's fantastic. I've spent quite a bit of time with him over the past couple of years. We actually went on a cruise together for a week.
What? That's fun.
Yeah,
and you didn't invite me, Jim?
It was for podcasters. So I understand you're interested in having your own podcast one day.
I am.
And it was a podcasters cruise that he was invited onto by someone he met, I think, on a networkers cruise.
Fun.
And Jordan knows that I'm a podcast guy and I do his podcast. And he said, hey, you should consider going on this cruise. It's a 7-day cruise. So I brought my wife, and there were a handful of podcasters on this big ship. And so when you spend some time on a ship, you get to know people real well. So
you do.
We've done that together, and he and I have done some other projects, and he's entrusted me to host his podcast, the Beach Money Podcast. So
just super cool.
Yeah, it is super cool. It is exciting. Let's talk a little bit about network marketing, because that is a common thread between you and Jordan. Why do you love network marketing so much?
The freedom, even though I work and have worked really hard over the last 28 years, I love being able to do it on my own time. I like to be my own boss. I like setting my own hours. I like being able to make as much money as I want to make. I think the flexibility and the freedom, time freedom, money freedom. I mean, that's kind of what we're all working for, right?
I think so. There are so many people who are tied up in their job. They work for someone else. They're a W-2 worker. They've been doing it so long, they don't know any different.
Yeah.
Back in 2003, I left the corporate world to become an entrepreneur and do my own thing. And when I look back, it really was a prison for me. And so I wasn't meant to be in that position. And so I fully understand. Would you consider what you do a lifestyle business? We hear that expression all the time, a lifestyle business, which isn't that something that allows you to do what you love on your terms?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I love that I can, like I said, do what I want, when I want, with who I want, and no one tells me what to do. I mean, I'm definitely unemployable, but I found that out very quickly. I've never even had a real job besides like waiting tables and bartending back in, college and law school, to put myself through school. But so I've never had a real job, besides that. But even when I try to attempt, interning for attorneys and doing things like that kind of seemed like a real job. And I was like, you mean I have to like come back here at this time tomorrow? Like, really?
Oh, yeah.
So, I love it. I love being able to help people's health. I love being able to help people's financial situation. I really fell in love with just teaching people how to change that mindset from that employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset, because that's what someone did for me when I was 23 years old, and, made me realize, okay, you know what, you're going to work hard no matter what you do. So why not work hard building something for yourself instead of for someone else?
And I think it can be easier than hard when
Mhm.
you love doing what you're doing. And also, if you're fit for it. For
Yeah.
instance, some people will get a job for the means to an end. I need to pay rent and
Yeah.
my car payment. So I
Yeah.
need a job. And many people have a job just to get money
Yeah.
to live or survive. Other people are lucky enough to find a job that they love doing. And I
Hmm.
think the luckiest people are people like you and I, where we can build a business, have the flexibility, make as much money as we like, and choose to work and play with the people we choose to work and play with.
Yeah, I agree. But I truly believe that you can monetize anything that you love.
Mhm.
Like there's always a way. Like if you can find something that you really love doing, like I don't really care what it is, you can monetize it somehow, some way, you know?
Totally agree. Tell me about the products that you work with. How do you help people as you live your dream, making your income, building your business, spending time with people you want to spend time with? What is the product behind that allows all of this to happen?
Yeah. So I've always, for the last 28 years, I've always been into health and fitness and nutrition and wellness. And of course, that's changed over 28 years, and I've changed companies and the products have changed. But in the last 8.5 years, the products that I primarily work with and coach and mentor people with is a fat loss system, instead of weight loss, more fat loss, and super clean products. Also a patented liquid collagen line. For me, I am 52. I've lost 32 pounds. I've been able to keep it off now for almost 5 years. And then the patented liquid collagen has just been a game changer. I thought you just had to, deal with aging, and like my skin is better in my 50s than it was in my 30s. My knees don't hurt anymore. So it's like when you experience high quality products that actually work for you, it's so much easier to share them with people. So and I love really showing people that, especially people that have tried everything. That's what I hear. Like, I've tried everything to lose this weight and I can't lose it. And for me to be like, hey, give it one more chance, try this and I'm going to help you every step of the way. And really just getting people to learn that it's not about a diet. It's not about, you know, starving yourself to death. It's not about, um, you know, sacrificing like the things you want to eat. Like it's not about restriction. Like anything that is that restrictive is not sustainable. And of course, people are gonna. I mean, it's like if you do zero carbs your whole life, the second you lick a carb, you're gonna gain 20 pounds back. So I show people how to just make small choices that over time will definitely change their life. And when they start to lose weight and start to feel so good, of course they want to keep going. It gives them the confidence. They start to get excited. Their clothes are fitting better. They like the way they feel. And then they're obviously encouraged to keep going.
Michelle, can anyone lose weight? So there's this issue today in America where we have more than half the people are overweight or obese, and there's a segment, a decent size, unfortunately, that are morbidly obese. These
Yeah.
people are heavy. They weren't
Yeah.
born heavy, but they are. And so I keep hearing people say, I don't have a high metabolism. We're big boned people in our family. And I'm like, can't you just restrict what goes in to lose weight? I mean, can everyone get a leaner body? I know some people are predisposed to being larger people because of genetics, but all of a sudden it seems over the past 20, 30 years,
It's
maybe over
gotten
50
bad.
years, we've really, I guess when we were children, it really started to get bad. I'm a little
Hmm.
older than you, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s. And before that, it wasn't such a big deal. But
I agree.
children of that time started consuming the Big Macs and the Fruit
Hmm.
Loops and more carbonated drinks and so forth. And we are a
Yeah.
pretty big society. And it's not just here in the US, it's other developed countries. They're having a
Yeah.
bad problem in the UK as well, I understand. So, once again, the question is, can you help anyone get more fit, lose weight?
I 100% believe I can. Yeah, I really do. And not every body is the same,
Mm.
right? So what I've found over the last 28 years, I mean, I was a personal trainer even before I got started in this business. And so I've always had a passion for helping people get in shape because I know when you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good. And so I like to help people, just make subtle changes that, they're going to feel better and look better. And
Mhm.
it encourages them to keep going. And a lot of it is I'm like, my jam is mindset. And a lot of I'm kind of a brain nerd. And so a lot of what I teach and coach on is also changing your paradigm, and that is really doing the inner work to figure out, okay, why do I keep gaining the weight back? And what's at the bottom of it? When you peel that onion, what's really holding you back from, becoming financially independent, from being in the best shape of your life, having the best relationships, being, the best parent you can be? What is holding you back from those things? And when you can peel that onion a little bit, it always comes down to our set of beliefs and our belief systems. And, what kind of programming we have had or have or continue to have. And, so I do believe that anyone can get healthier. I'm not saying everyone is, going to get skinny and strong and stay that way forever, but I do love helping people with more of the inner work that it takes to really truly believe that they can lose weight and keep it off.
In general, do you think it's a mental problem more than a physical problem?
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's happened in our society over, and once again, like the last 50 years is my best guess. And it seems to be getting worse. And
Yeah.
I've I've learned how to control not just my intake, but actually when I take in the food,
Yeah.
and other ways to metabolize it and to, I guess, burn calories. And for years, I thought what everyone else thought. Well, calories in, calories out. And if you go to the gym and exercise, you can eat what you want. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. I learned years ago because I lost 35 pounds too quickly, actually. I think I did some damage to myself, but I lost
Okay.
35 pounds within 2 months, I think,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
maybe
that's a
six
lot.
weeks. And I did it solely through diet. I didn't
Hmm.
walk, I didn't run, didn't lift weights.
Yeah.
Actually, lifting weights, you're likely to gain weight. If you really want to lose weight, you have to through diet. But what I've learned though is if I stop eating at a certain time of day, like my
Yeah.
last meal at 7, and if I
Mhm.
get good sleep, sleep's important for the
Yes, it is.
circadian rhythm and is good for
Yeah.
burning the calories and cell
Absolutely.
rejuvenation. And I know it sounds like hocus pocus because people say, well, I'll sleep when I die. I don't really have time to sleep now. And what's
Yeah, I
interesting
used to
is that
do
the
that.
people who are running around so much, who are stressed, who aren't getting sleep, are the biggest people.
Yeah,
No.
it's true. Yeah. I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for the last 5 years. I'm currently on day 3 of a 72-hour fast, which I don't recommend to anyone that's like brand new at fasting at all. I always, ease people into doing longer fasts. And, there's definitely a healthy process on doing that. But, for me, it's been a game changer, doing that. And I do feel like it allows, there's so much flexibility with intermittent fasting. And then when you add high quality collagen or, a metabolism type stuff and nutrition, I mean, it really just turns your body into like a fat burning furnace. And, for me, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to just lose it and keep finding it. It seems like that's what everybody loses 10, gains back 15, loses 20, gains back 25. Like I wanted to release it for good, And so, I fluctuate maybe 3 to 5 pounds, but I always know why, you know.
It's interesting. You know that you fluctuate and you know why. And so my wife asked me, she says, "Hey, Jim, why do you weigh yourself every day?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, why does a business owner look at their numbers every day?
Yeah.
I mean, we have KPIs in business. Why don't we measure every day cholesterol, blood pressure, weight, all of these important components to survival? And I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit here. We only have so much time on Earth. And according to Tony Robbins, apparently we'll have more time if we can just hold off a little while longer.
Believe it. I believe it.
But we only have so much time on Earth, yet we run around in this rat race to keep up with the Joneses, to buy things that we're going to end up throwing out or maybe selling at a garage sale for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And we aren't taking care of ourselves physically and mentally, in my opinion. I'm generalizing.
I agree.
And so why not know what you weigh? I mean, you should know. Like,
I agree.
If the doctor asks you, what do you weigh? You shouldn't be off by 10 pounds. You should know within a couple of pounds. If someone asks me what my blood pressure is, now, if you're 25 and healthy, that might not be a big issue, but it'd be a good idea to know because there are some people who are young who do have abnormal blood pressures. So it'd be good to know. But some of these indicators are important for your health and to know your numbers. They say in business, know your numbers.
Yeah.
A lot of these people in business don't know their numbers, their physical numbers. And it blows my mind.
Yep. Mine too. Well, and even with network marketing, with business, like you said, with your health, like, I always tell people clarity is power. One of my biggest, things that I do every year is the most powerful goal setting call of the year. People can find that at michellebarnes.com. It's free. But I'm telling you, like a lot of people, they don't even know what they want. And it's like, clarity is power. So how are you going to get to here if you don't even know what here is?
Yeah.
And so what, I always tell people like, okay, if you're here and you want to get here, what do we need to do to close that gap? And I'm very much I'm not an analytical person, but I'm very much like, just tell me what the driving behaviors are, to get from here to here, and I just do that. And for me, I think that's why I've been really successful in network marketing is because I tracked my numbers and I do the things that I know will move my business forward every day, just like I do for my health. It is for me, it's about 90-10. About 10% of the time, I like to go have Mexican food and a good margarita,
Now you're talking my language.
Oh man, just give me some queso. It's like game over. But I don't do it every day.
Yeah.
And I do intermittent fasting and I do eat clean and I do make good choices about 90% of the time.
That is interesting because you and I are on the same page. I don't eat totally clean. The Lord blessed me with taste buds, which is a curse, right? I mean, that's the biggest curse because honestly, if Fruit Loops and Coca-Cola tasted horrible and queso wasn't good, we'd all be a lot thinner. We would eat just to eat. I know some people who don't like to eat they find it a chore. And most of those people
Yeah.
actually look fit. And if they're eating the
Yeah.
right food, they're probably in
Yeah.
pretty good
Healthy.
shape.
Yeah.
Um, like most people, I love chocolate. I love
Yeah.
sweet drinks.
Yeah.
I love cheese. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
like
do
all the bad,
cheese.
like a tortilla. Well,
Yeah.
tortilla, speaking of the devil, that's
I know.
worse than eating a cup of sugar. I mean,
Right.
that's
I know,
horrible.
right? Oh, so
Yeah,
good though. But once in a while, it's okay,
it is.
and
But
it
Michelle,
really
I will
is.
tell you though, when I kind of fall off the wagon, which is on purpose, meaning I'm like, all right, let's do Mexican. So I'm intentionally hopping off the wagon, if you will.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes it's not worth it. It's almost like drinking. So I don't drink as
Yeah.
much as I very like I occasionally in a social setting I'll have a couple of beers or a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah.
I used to party when I was young.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I go to a Mexican restaurant, especially if I'm drinking, but
Mm,
even if I'm not, just the food itself
yeah.
will throw my system off where I'm like, I don't even know if that was worth it because now I
I
feel
know.
sluggish and I don't know
Feel
if
like
I'm going to
crap the
sleep as
next
well.
day.
And
Yeah.
so that's my problem, which probably isn't a bad problem because if that's the case, I'm probably going to avoid what was pleasure. If it's no longer pleasure, and I know it's not good for me, as
Yeah.
good as eating cleaner, then
Yeah.
if I just eat clean, it's fine. I'm on such a routine. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Do you recommend that people stick to a schedule? In other words, I don't eat past 7. I go to sleep by 10. I wake up by 6. My first meal's not till 10 or 11. It depends, but let's say
Yeah.
10. And then I'll, eat pretty much whatever I want, but it's relatively clean until 7 and it goes
Mhm.
round and round again. And I
Yeah.
exercise 90 minutes a day and I give myself some, mental time, at least an hour a
Yeah.
day for my head.
Yeah.
Um, that seems to work for me. Do you recommend that?
I do, I feel like if you have a routine and you have a good set of habits and you do that, on repetition, and repetition is the mother of all learning, so it's like the more we do something, the more I always say neurons that fire together wire together. So it's almost like building a cable. And with every habit or every choice we make, we're kind of making that cable stronger. So whether it's good or bad, that's why it's hard to change bad habits, harder to change bad habits. But I mean, I'll tell people like, look, we don't have to do this all at once. Like, you don't have to go off the deep end. Like, let's just change one bad habit. Like, I'll have people trade out one bad habit for one good habit for 30 days. And it makes such a difference that they realize, wow, what if I did that with 2 or 3 other bad habits that I have? And life is meant to be lived too, life's too short. So I'm going to have the queso once in a while. I'm going to have the margarita, I'm going to have the chocolate once in a while. Um, but I also just I think the more you have routine and the more you set up like good habits and set yourself up for success instead of failure, like my kids always get mad because I don't, have a lot of crap in the house. And, there's a reason for that, and they still eat stuff. They're teenage boys, but, when you can have a routine, I have, an evening routine, I have a morning routine and I break my fast with almost the same thing every single day. And I kind of just keep it simple. But I will tell you, when I have, salmon and some vegetables and maybe only one glass of wine compared to Mexican food and queso and a trough of chips and salsa and a trough of margaritas, I just feel better, you know? So it comes down to those choices. And every choice we make every second of every day is either moving us closer to our goals or further away. There's no neutral, you know?
Yeah, you are so much like me in terms of I eat the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I
So,
do too.
um, I eat, and I'm starting to eat things in order. So I heard you should eat protein first. So as you break the fast, I've heard it's best to eat protein first, or almost
Mhm.
always,
Yeah.
regardless of what you're eating, and then eat the fats and the carbs and so forth. And so, I eat, 2, 3 eggs every morning,
Yep.
scrambled, and I eat an avocado
Yep. Me
and
too.
and and really gross stuff like Brussels sprouts and
I
broccoli and
love them.
asparagus, and I
Oh, I
steam
love
all that
it.
so there's no sauces on it. I don't even like salt and pepper on things. And I
Oh,
think
I
people
do.
think that I'm like crazy, but I
Yeah.
actually enjoy the taste of asparagus and I like eggs and avocados are awesome. And
I
those
love
are
them.
all really good
Oh,
for us. And when you
yeah.
think about it, if you go back just a couple hundred years, let's say you go back 500 years, those foods were all available,
Yeah.
but Fruit Loops wasn't. Interesting.
Yeah. What a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the greens and the good proteins and so forth apparently have been good for us for a long time. And we as a society have fallen off a wagon and
Yeah.
we consume junk. And I'm really, really concerned for the welfare of
Yeah.
we, the
I am
people.
too.
Really am.
I am too. Oh, and that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. Um, it's probably why I'm even more passionate, even though I love health and fitness and nutrition and wellness. I'm even more passionate about teaching people how to kind of giving people kind of that checkup from the neck up and teaching them how to change their thoughts, which are going to change their feelings, which are in turn going to change their actions and then their results. Positive in, positive out, negative in, negative out, and a lot of the programming that somebody has, take whatever age we are, that's how many years of programming we have. And if the programming is bad, it just happen overnight to change it. You can
Mhm.
only change your paradigm in two ways. One is through a very emotional impact, which is typically negative, like when somebody finds out they have cancer, then they change everything. They start to eat better and they get all the toxins out of their homes and stuff. And, or the only other way is through repetition. And so through repetition, you can change the paradigm. And it's harder, and and it's easy to do, but easy not to do,
Right.
like Jim Rohn always says. And, but helping someone change their paradigm when it comes to health, when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships. And not saying by any means that I've got it all, figured out, because, I'm still a work in progress every day. And I work on myself every day and I learn every day and I'm trying to grow every day. And so, we're all a work in progress, but I do contribute a lot of my success in every area of my life to really being intentional with the choices I make.
You have to be intentional. But I want to go back to something that we were just talking about that you were just talking. I was thinking, so many people need to hit rock bottom, whatever their
Mhm.
rock bottom is, before
Yeah.
they'll make a change.
Yeah.
Whether it's financial, Dave Ramsey will talk about it all the time. If it's a financial thing, if it's a health
Mhm.
thing, like, oh, the doctor said I've got cancer, but I can beat it, he said, if I do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they wake up. I just posted something on Facebook and it's interesting. I knew I'd get a lot of responses.
Yeah.
And it was, if your doctor told you that you had 6 months left to live, what would you
Yeah.
do? And
Yeah.
almost everyone said, spend more time with my family, put things in order. My next post is going to be, have you done that? Are you doing it? Why are we waiting? We
I
could
know.
die tomorrow. We could get
I
sick
know.
tomorrow. And
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people to be disciplined. Well, I know it's hard for people to be
Oh,
disciplined.
yeah. Self-discipline is the most important thing, you
It's
know.
never been that difficult for me. And maybe that's why people like you and I are able to start businesses and be self-disciplined
Yeah.
go to bed at a certain time and maybe not drink too many margaritas
Yeah.
and eat better and exercise and work from here up, right?
Mhm.
And I want to help people like you do, but I don't know if most people want to be helped. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
Or do you think they do? We just don't know how to help them because there are a lot of
Mm,
people that can't be helped.
I think a lot of people do. But it's also, I think the majority of people look at that self-discipline piece as sacrifice. And a lot of people look at sacrifice as a bad word. And, my mentor was Bob Proctor and a very dear friend of mine. And, he would always say that, sacrifice is giving up something of a lower value to receive something of a higher value. And, so yeah, you might have to give up some of the sodas and the chips and things like that, or fast food. But when you do give that up, you're giving up something of a lower value to receive something of a higher value. And, I think if people can just give it enough time and give themselves enough grace, and if you can teach people how to just live a healthier lifestyle overall versus the things that are so restrictive that human is never going to stick with it, people will have more success.
I've heard that we as human beings are wired for pleasure. That's why gambling and porn and food and alcohol are all things that people can overconsume. And all of those things I just mentioned are readily available, more so now than ever before.
Yeah.
Drug addicts. And it's because, I hate to say this, but we're weak in a way. We're more drawn to pleasure. We don't like pain. And people associate discipline and doing the right thing with it's painful. It's not as pleasurable. I'd much rather sit in front of the television, eat a bucket of fried chicken, and watch a reality show than go out, ride my bike, eat well, and listen to a nutritional podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, life's about choices,
It is. And it's like a religion. I think the more you get on this side of it, where you and I are, the more we look at other people saying, do you not get it? Come join.
Look what's over here.
I know, because I was somewhere more on that side.
Yeah.
And now I'm over here.
So look at you made the change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not typical. I've always been able to, once I put my mind to it, to do it. A lot of people will fall off. They'll go back.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim, I mean, it all starts with a decision, and the Latin term of decision, it means to cut off, and it means to cut off any alternative. And when somebody makes a decision to do something, like everything comes into their life to help support that decision. But a lot of people don't even make the decision. They'd rather just sit and be a victim. And that's one of the biggest things that I coach and mentor people on is taking, Robin Sharma calls it APR, absolute personal responsibility. And when someone starts to take 100% responsibility for where they are in their life or aren't, whether it's finances, health, whatever, it's a game changer. But I would say the majority of people out there are victims. They have a victim mindset instead of a victor mindset. They blame everybody around them. It's always someone else's fault. They justify, well, this is just how I was born, or that's in my genes or whatever, which is BS. So they blame, they justify, and they complain. And those three things are a sign of a victim. And, a lot of times you got to get good at catching yourself when you're in victim mode versus like victor mode. Right. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. There are a lot of victims out there.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head. You identified their traits. It's someone else's fault. I was born with a bad DNA pattern.
Yeah.
Whatever. My great-great-grandfather was an alcoholic, so that's why I am. And it's I would, and I'll tell you what's really interesting is that is all BS. And you probably know this, but if not, this is an interesting statistic. An immigrant to our country is 4 times more likely to become a millionaire than an American-born citizen. I was born in New York City in 1966, a long time ago, with a golden ticket.
Yeah.
That was, you're an American.
Yeah.
America's where almost everybody wants to be, and the ones who don't want to be here, they're lying. There's a
Yeah.
long lineup, and a lot of people are coming into this country, and we've been coming over for hundreds of
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And I was born with this golden ticket,
Yeah.
but you get a Cuban who is paddles over in a bathtub, hoping they make the beach in Miami before they get tackled by the government. And many more of those, they're more likely to become a millionaire and
Yeah.
appreciate America more than we do.
Yeah.
It's
I
mind.
see it all the time. Yeah. Well, and the statistics are what they are. 3% of America retires financially independent.
Mhm.
1% is wealthy. 97% retire financially dependent on friends, family, and the federal government when they retire. And that's after doing the 40-year plan. And I think that's why at 23, it was just such a 2x4 to my forehead. I was like, like I'm going to be in that 97% category if I don't figure out how to do this on my own. And, I wasn't going to go work for 40 years, 40 hours a week for someone else, building someone else's business, building someone else's dreams, and having somebody tell me how much I was worth,
Mhm.
and I would much rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for someone else. And, that's just, I think, part of being an entrepreneur. But, like we have a choice as Americans where we live in the land of the free, for crying out loud. It's like, do you want to be in the 3% or the 97%, And for me, that just hearing that at 23, I was like, I am going to be in that 3% category, and I'm going to make sure that I am in that 3% where I am financially free and financially independent.
Michelle, I think a lot of people want to be in that 3%, and I'm sure a lot of people want to have a BMI of 24.
Yeah.
Wanting's one thing, kicking butt and doing it's another. And I love to see people's success stories in themselves
Yeah.
when they say, I was here and now I'm here. Whether that
Yeah.
was I was a drug addict, or I was
Yeah.
addicted to gambling, or I was obese,
Yeah.
or something else. And when people say I can't do it, it makes me crazy. I'm telling you, there's someone paddling over from Cuba
Yeah.
now in a bathtub.
Yeah.
And when I say bathtub, I remember years ago seeing a picture of a raft. I think there was a bathtub attached to it, no joke.
Wow.
And they'll do anything they can. How about these people who are paraplegic or disabled? They can't walk, they're in a
Yeah.
wheelchair, and they can play basketball better than I can.
Yeah.
And I've got two legs and two arms, and
Yeah.
I'm taller than they are, and they'll beat me. What's all that about? I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
and I find the people who hit rock bottom, and I think when you lose your legs, you might
Yeah.
hit rock bottom. You say,
Sure.
gosh darn it, I'm going to do something. And it's just amazing what we can do. So just, I guess my message today is just get it together
Yeah.
and be the best you can be, and get help from people like Michelle who work on herself every day and help other people every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard something amazing one time that said, help the person that you used to be,
Yeah.
and I grew up, in the hood. I mean, I was, my mom was a single mom at 18 when she had me, divorced by the time I was 9 months old, raised me by herself. We had no furniture. I mean, we didn't have anything.
Mm.
And, the majority of the people that went to school in the same area didn't go to college. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I went to law school for a year, dropped out to do network marketing, but I was, I was $80,000 in debt when I got started in this business. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I did have 3 jobs. I did live in a 1-bedroom apartment with like 3 people, so it's like, I know that if somebody has a true burning desire for a better life, and they're coachable, and they find people who have the results they want in life and just do what that person is doing, they'll get the same results. But they also got to be willing to work. So if you have a desire for a better life, you're coachable and you're willing to work, sky's the limit, because everything else is figure outable, you know?
It is. You just have to dial it in and you have to be disciplined. But I will tell you this from my experience. It's harder up front. So as painful as it seems in the beginning, when you get into the routine and you see the results you're getting, which is the payoff, it's easier. It's like
Yeah.
anything else. In the beginning, it's difficult, whether it's fasting or going
Yeah.
on a diet or having to work out every day. It's all painful
Yeah.
until
Well, and it's
until you get in condition.
changing your mindset too, you
Mhm.
know? Like I tell people, begin with the end in mind. You know, like how do you want to feel when you lose that 25 pounds?
Mm.
Like, how do you want to feel? And when people start to think about how they are going to feel if that they get that end result, then that pleasure of, oh my gosh, I'm going to look good in those jeans. I'm going to look good when I walk in front of that mirror. You know, I have a vacation coming up and I'm going to look good and feel good. But there's a big difference, you know? When you feel that, whatever you're feeling is what you're attracting. So if you don't like what you're attracting or you don't like your results, change the way you feel.
Yeah, no, I agree. Michelle, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the
So
podcast.
fun, Jim. It's so
Yeah.
great to meet you and so much fun to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, it's been fun. All of Michelle's contact information and other great assets are located in the show notes of this podcast. Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And tell Jordan I said thank you and that I love him to pieces.